Hi, I'm Jill Tisbury and today we're going to talk about fixing your pastel work with fixatives, different types of fixatives, and I'm going to talk you through them. Okay, so you'll see there's a really quick sketch that I've done here. I've done this on Ingress paper, which is this kind of thing. You're probably used to that if you're a pastel artist. So this is Ingress paper here. And you'll notice that if you do something like this, let's say you're doing it as a field sketch or something like that, as soon as I put my finger on that, you can probably see that better. There you go. There's dust everywhere. So unless you want to lose your picture, you need to fix it in some way. So we're going to do that with one of these fixatives here. So I've got three different types of fixative. This particular one, this always reminds me of school because we always used to have these at school. This thing here is a pastel diffuser, and I think they're about £2 or £3 for most good artist supply stores. And your fixative, just a clear fixative, comes in a bottle like that. We then got this one, which is an aerosol fixative. It's HCFC free, so just your standard aerosol. And then they've got this one, which is a pump action aerosol. This is the one that I prefer to use because it's a pump action, and I find that this doesn't clog as much as some of the others can do. This is pretty cool as well. So I'm going to use this one on a piece of work that I did earlier, but for now we're going to use these two and fix this piece of work. Right, so we're going to start by using the Perfix and the diffuser. And it's always a good idea with any fixative, doesn't matter what type of fixative you're going to use, you need to do it in a well-ventilated space. The other thing is that if you've got an easel like this one, it's useful to use this because obviously it's going to keep your work stable and you're going to have a nice flat surface to work on. You can do it on a table as long as you protect the surface, but I like to do it on this because I can move this easel up and down. Okay, so I'm going to do half of this with Perfix and the other half with the aerosol. So we're going to take the diffuser, make sure it's in the bottle, and you need a lot of puff for this, so bear with me. So I'm going to start from the top and I'm going to go down, then I'm going to move the easel up and go from the bottom upwards. So here we go. Make sure you blow as well. You can see it's easier when you do this in short bursts rather than trying to sort of blow and then completely running out of puff. Now don't worry about this blotching here because it does actually all dry out and you won't be able to see that in the end. Okay, so we can clearly see this bit looks quite damp, but you can see where I've put clouds in at the top with some quite raw strokes. They're still there, so it's not actually going to get rid of any of that colour. Sometimes, depending on the paper that you use, you might find that some of the colour diffusers. And one of the other things as well is that you can use fixative as a kind of interlayer. So you could spray this and then go over it again to get a different layer of pastel on top. But you can almost see that this is beginning, under these lights definitely, it's beginning to dry out a little bit now. So I'm going to leave that as it is and I'm going to do the other bit with the aerosol. Okay, so We've done the first part of our drawing with the diffuser and the colourless fixative. We're now going to use this type of fixative on the other half of it, just to show you the difference between the two. This is the aerosol type fixative, so very easy to use. You need to shake this vigorously before you start. I've already done that. So we're just going to spray the other side of it. You need to make sure that you're roughly about 10 inches away from your work when you do this, and just go in smooth motions. So much like we did before, either start from the top or start from the bottom. I'm going to start from the bottom on this bit, and I'm going to spray from here onwards. So it's a bit like airbrushing really. You want to make sure that you're already spraying a good density of cover by the time you hit the page. So if I do this, it's a lot easier because I can chat to you while I'm doing it. I don't run out of puff either. But you must make sure, again, you're in a well-ventilated space. There we go. So we talked about fixing pastel work on Ingres type paper. And any other type of paper where you would have loose dust on it, working exactly the same way. You might remember this. This was a piece that we did on velour when we talked about fur textures, our Scottish wildcat here. And velour is a very different type of thing to Ingres paper or pastel mat or anything like that, in that it's got a very soft pile, and you can probably see I'm rubbing that quite strongly, and there's nothing coming off. So contrary to popular belief, the pastel does actually stay quite well on velour paper. And to be honest, sometimes you don't actually need to fix velour paper. But my framer prefers that everything is fixed. So to make him happy, I'm going to fix this one. And I'm going to use my favourite type of fixative, which is this. This is an aero pump. It's a Schminke aero pump. And I just like the way that gives me results. So we're going to spray this one with the aero pump. Because it's an aero pump and not an aerosol, it means that when you press it, so I'm just going to do that, you can see that what you're going to get is a pump. And my finger's still on it, and that's obviously not going to carry on spraying because it's an aero pump. So when I do this, I'm going to work on my piece and move the can downwards as I spray, and then pump again and again and again. So that's how I'm going to fix that. So here we go. So again, you work in short bursts on this. And again, don't worry about the fact that you might have dots. It's quite the nature of fixatives that you see this sort of dotted effect. You can probably see it more on the board here than you can on the piece of paper. Again, working in a ventilated space. And that's it. So we've now fixed our velour. Still a little bit wet, so you've got to leave that to dry. Make sure you don't put too much on it because you don't want these things to run. But once that's dry, you could, if you wanted to, work on it again. So there are people who swear by a layer of fixative and then working on another layer, but I'm done with this piece. I'm happy with it. It's now fixed. You can go to my framer. Thanks for watching.